I'm Turk, and this is my transition speech. I'm 15 as a child. I grew up in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and I went to Woodrow Wilson Elementary School from K to 8, so not much change. And I don't really remember what I wanted to do when I was younger, other than I really wanted to be a princess, and I was very disappointed when I found out that I could not be. As you can see from this picture, I was like really into listening to music even when I was like, what, like 1. Throughout my earlier years of school, my family was a big inspiration. They kind of, with education, they really instilled a gratification for like doing well, like, and putting in a lot of effort. Especially my grandfather, who I remember would like brag to his friends about my grades, and it just really boosted my confidence, and it really made me interested in learning. So, middle school. For a while, I thought that math was going to be my thing because it was like quick and easy. And it's like, hey, you know, there's an answer here, and I can get to it. It was pretty nice. Whereas language arts or English, not so much, because ironically, standing here, I really hated using quotations. Like, the questions would ask you to use quotations, wasn't a fan of that. But I didn't dislike the class. I just wasn't a fan. I also, at this point, had more of an idea of what I wanted to do, but not quite. I wanted to make a change and be known in that kind of like Greek kleos, like be remembered kind of way, but I wasn't sure how I would do that. And then, yeah, the language arts was away for a bit. Kind of a weird tangent, but related. I got really into Gravity Falls, which is an awesome cartoon on Cartoon Network. It has a great plot, and it's funny, and it actually has a lot of hidden content that is awesome to analyze. And you might be thinking like, okay, how does this relate? But it made me really interested in storytelling. So I have the return of English into my life, and I started writing because I didn't really have the time or the patience to get better with art, so I thought, hey, you know, maybe I can write. So freshman year, I moved to Maine a couple months before school started, and we decided to make this move because MPI was like such a cool school. Like, we toured it up when we were on vacation, and also we being my family, like extended family, and also my grandma lived in Maine, my mother and my aunt lived in Maine, so they wanted to return, and that's why we're here. It was quite a change going from an apartment to a house and a different state, but I kind of got used to it. Also, there's a longer travel time. Like, you can get to a mall in like 15 minutes in New Jersey, and Bangor here, you know, that's like 45 minutes. It's kind of different. Also to school, that's like 40 minutes from my house in Des Moines, sort of, approximately. So that was something to get used to. And then this kind of skips towards the end of my freshman year, but I had freshman English, took history, and actually, and it kind of forced me to get back into language arts and English, and I had to get comfortable with quotations because we had to use them. And actually, I kind of rekindled like my love for reading in that way because I just got to like see it on a deeper level, and I think that that really helped. And sophomore year, humanities is one of the best classes that I've ever taken. It brought English and social studies together, which I thought was really cool, and it definitely made me want to look into both a lot more. I also took creative writing, and it was a really good class. I really enjoyed it, but I didn't like most of what I put out there because I had so much trouble actually writing. I always had trouble like describing things. Like, I guess I can envision it and try to write that down, but it just didn't really work for me. So that's kind of where I was by the end of sophomore year. And I also, throughout, like, underlining all of that was theater tech. I had joined at the end of freshman year, but I really got into it sophomore year because I joined sound with Abby, and I felt like really comfortable there, so I finally had like my niche, like my comfortable, happy place. And then junior year, present, as I count it. For the summer work for this class, we had to read How to Read Literature Like a Professor. And I actually really enjoyed that book beyond like having to read it. And I thought, hey, this might help me with my writing, as well as my reading, of course. But that was just kind of something I was thinking about then. And then we read The Awakening in this class, and it was actually, I really liked the book, but it was kind of the way that Kate Chopin was able to describe things, and like you can analyze that for the meaning that it has underlyingly. That kind of, I finally realized that's what like I like to do in a description, for there to be that kind of meaning and not just the walls are yellow. Yeah. So that really helped me out, and I started to write again, and I was happy with what I was doing. Also, junior year. So, next slide. Not a couple months, like actually a week before school started, I met somebody really important. So towards the end of my middle school years, like the beginning of 8th grade, I met someone online that was about my age. We were playing a game and we just started talking, and it was like, hey, we really connect. And like, I know, like, don't trust online things too much, but we talked for months, and it was like, hey, this is really cool. We also had like a group of friends. And eventually we Skyped, made sure that we were not like 80-year-old men behind screens. And we got really comfortable with each other, and we still talk a lot every day. And so, the month before school started, hey, she's a real person. We actually got to see each other, and it was really great. She came up to Maine, we went to the Blue Hill Fair, played golf and stuff. So she's been a huge influence on my life because I don't know, she just like really inspires me creatively and supports what I do, and I really appreciate that. So future, because of all this that I've just explained, I'm really looking into English. I want to possibly major in English and keep creative writing in my pocket. Like, I can do this and I will do this, but it's my side thing, so that I can hopefully set up a career in English but still be able to do creative writing. Because I think that there's a lot you can do with English, and it also helps because the more you read, the more you have for writing. So I am going to go to college, I hope, and I have a few options, certainly not decided, but a few of them are Colby, Leeds, University of Farmington, College of the Atlantic, and Bowdoin. Which of these I looked into University of Maine, Farmington, COA, and Bowdoin a little bit more. So, UMaine Farmington, they do have an English major, and they have a creative writing minor, and also philosophy, history, theater, just the more things I'm interested in. And they have the Emory Community Arts Center on campus, which I thought was really awesome. The cost, about $19,000 per year, and then an orientation fee. Not terrible, but I'm not as much looking at costs right now, even though I included it. I'm just kind of trying to feel it out and see where I might want to go. And then College of the Atlantic. The only major they have is human ecology, because they, at first they almost annoyed me because I really wanted to like have some structure, but I looked into why, and I kind of understood it and really appreciated it, that like the whole world, like it all works together. So within a human ecology major, you can look into different things. You can take your own direction. Like, it's very, like I could go with English, I could go with languages, I could go with math. It's just, there's a lot there. They also had a lot of courses that I'm interested in, such as the science of comedy, the nature of narrative, and my personal favorite, satanic verses. It's not how it sounds though. It actually really explores like evil in literature, and I thought that that's like totally unhappy. Also, it's near where I could do ACT, and it's near Bar Harbor, and that's like really comfortable for me. And then Bowdoin. So I consider this more of my reach out of the three, but I would really like to go here. They have an English major. I could minor in theater, which I'm definitely holding on to that for college. And within the English major, I could have a concentration on creative writing. They have 233 clubs, which I think is pretty cool, but obviously I can't go all of them. But a few that interested me were the board game club, Mask and Gown, which is a theater one, mock trial and polar bear swim dance because their mascot is polar bear. So I thought, hey, that sounds cool. So it does cost significantly more, $70,000 per year. But there's the possibility of grants. They usually do pretty good ones. It seems like their average cuts about half of that, as I read on the website. And then also their mascot is a polar bear, and that's my favorite animal, so that kind of drew me there. As silly as it might be. And apparently this is something they have on campus, which is, I think is really pretty. I'm not sure what it is, but you know, it is there. It is there. Yeah. And yeah.
Questions for Gianna?
Have you visited any of those schools or plan to visit them?
I'm definitely planning to visit them, especially those three. I have not yet, though.
Cool.
What are next step things? That's a big question, but after college, what career paths could you envision yourself following?
Yeah, I've definitely I've thought about that. I don't know why I didn't include it, but I was thinking of the possibility is some kind of editing for creative works. I thought that might be a good way to still be involved with it and have a career that I can pursue while having my writing on the side. But also, my mom had suggested being a professor, which is I don't know about that one, but I mean, maybe. Elle?
So we moved here literally at the same time and started high school at the same time. And I was wondering, after living here for almost 3 years, 2.5 years, do you prefer the rural life that's up here in Maine or the urban life back in Jersey?
I like things about both. I think it would be hard to make that decision because there are just different things, very different things about both. It's nice to be around so much nature and such beautiful sights, but I do like the accessibility that urban places have, with the malls and stuff. But then when you're here, it's more of an outing to go to the mall is. So it kind of there are pros and cons of both. And I really like them both. Abby?
You spoke about theater. I wanted to know, you said that when you wanted to work in your theater minor, what would you specifically be doing? Would you want to continue doing sound? And if so, what about sound?
Oh, certainly. I would definitely be interested in theater tech, although if that wasn't an option for me, I might try acting. I really like theater a lot. I would definitely try to pursue sound. I think that I know enough about it, but not that much, so I definitely have to learn more. And COA actually has a course called Soundscape, which I thought was really cool. I like that kind of creating a place with the sound. So something like that, probably.
Would you ever think of combining your creative writing and your passion for theater if you're going to playwright?
I would definitely consider that. And my style, I tend to think more in characters and what they're saying and then the actions. So it's quite possible that I might do that. Evelyn?
What's your favorite genre of literature or favorites? I know it's hard.
I tend to first of all, fiction as a large category. I like nonfiction is great and all, but I kind of like to escape from the world sometimes. So fiction. Within that, fantasy is pretty cool. Dystopian as well, and sometimes just kind of a realistic fiction is nice too. Addie?
I want to ask about your inspirations, but your fictional inspirations. Is there any fictional characters that has spurred you forward?
I guess kind of in a way Gravity Falls. A lot of that, kind of the humor mixed with the actual depth and analysis, I think really pushed me. But not real human Any real human inspirations? Well, Willow was giving me a lot of creative ideas. I call her Willow. Her real name's Leah, but yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to meet Carrie Jones
I don't think
when
so.
she was here?
Actually, I think I did. Maybe.
I now foresee a senior project for you, where you could hook up with. I'm serious. You guys know Carrie Jones?
She's
Anyone?
a sci-fi lady.
She's a novelist who lives here in Bar Harbor, and she's come in last year. She spoke to freshman classes, and she has these really cool. It's like sort of like young adult, but it's also sci-fi stories that are all set on MDI and in Ellsworth and stuff. And she loves coming here and, you know, maybe making connections with students. It'd be really great if we could link you guys up a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
She's really cool. The other thing I was going to just say is that that building you really like is part of the Bowdoin Art Museum, and as is, I believe, the building on the left. And the vast majority of their museum is underneath the quad on campus. So you go into the building and you go down, and they have, it'll blow your mind, one of the most amazing art collections in the state of Maine, next to Colby, who also has a fantastic art museum. And as students, you guys can just walk in there and go for free. I highly recommend you check it out. It's incredible.
I want to go there more now.
Yeah, and you know, I always encourage students from MDI to apply to Bowdoin because they will provide, you know, resources like you mentioned, because they have so many resources. You know, their endowment's incredible.
Yeah, I think that the highest grant, the highest rate is like 70,000, which is practically all of it.
Right. No, I've known several students to get a full scholarship there, and you guys should always keep sights on those places here in Maine because they love students from Maine.
Yeah, and I'm definitely staying in state for like the first 4 years at least. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, one last question. Your friend Willow, the internet friend, right? Where is she from?
Oh, I totally forgot to mention that. She's actually in Missouri, so it was kind of a long trip for her to get up here. She traveled up here with her mother and her father, and they were such nice people.
I've tried to organize trips like that with like a lot of my former internet friends. It's really hard to do when they live across the country as well.
Does that freak your parents out?
For a while, actually, like my mom didn't know that I was talking to her, like until like I was like, hey, can I Skype with this person I've been talking to for months? But like she was pretty forgiving, and she like sat in on the first talk, and she's like, okay, well, this is alright.
Because then she realized, like, oh, it's like a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah, actually, she's like a year and a half younger than me.
Huh?
But
So that,
yeah.
yeah, wasn't some like creepy dude.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you, Gianna.